ISO ratings that would change our insurance tremendously for every
And then
constituent in
everyone's
the
rates
village.
go up. Yeah. And then the other
And
thing,
there- well,
like North Prairie, right? Paul brought that up, and that's an awesome example. And Eagle. Eagle is sitting vacant. Their firehouse is right now.
I get it.
And then they're stationed up in North Prairie. If they get a call in Eagle, it takes a little bit of time to get there. So our call time will increase.
Well, any cooperative agreement would be this, you'd still be operating from the same firehouse.
Yeah, but if we have another agency coming from the outside to get here and we're waiting for their call, it's gonna take them some time. It takes Western Lakes some time to get here. That's why we have Palmyra.
Absolutely agree with you, although the assets here would become part of the city, but the
But
point
then
here is,
you have
the
like
point here is it's anecdotal. What we need to do is go out and investigate, talk to people, find out what the different aspects of it are, and compare that cost, just like you're comparing whether to remodel, renovate, or build a new one. You're checking out all the options, you're gonna make the best choice. By going out and talking to these departments and districts, we wouldn't be saying we're gonna do it. We're just putting it as another option for the constituents to be aware of.
And I'm not saying that that's not a good discussion to have. That would be nice if we still had LaGrange working as full operational, but they're downsizing. Eagle is downsizing and merging with North Prairie. I mean, I don't know about Roman Sullivan, but I mean, there's a lot of entities around us that can't even do as much. So where would you have stations and who would?
Yeah, that's
That's a whole other big can
that's a
of worms.
discussion.
If I could, Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
This is-
kind of
so-
gotten off track.
the
but
way
it
I
is-
would-
We are
but it
getting
is
way off track.
But it is pertinent to our discussion here.
No, it's not. Our
It
discussion
it
is for
absolutely
this
is
agreement.
on this total cost.
No,
where
we're talking
going.
about the agreement, not gonna find
Of
out
course.
do it anyway.
But this is a 2-year
For the three
contract,
of
it's not a 5-year or a 10-year. I could understand it being around that time.
Stephanie, I understand that, we understand that. But for our constituents, a 2-year contract, we're gonna get questioned, well, where are we after that? Okay, we can't continue to see 100% increases every single year.
Either can the
So-
village on
so-
our side.
Right, so all I'm saying is, we should have, I have a document here from Western Lakes, okay?
The one I drafted.
I don't, Stan, that doesn't matter, take credit for it if you want.
I did.
Their 2026 operating budget and 5-year plan. Do we have a 5-year plan in this department? We need one. If we're gonna continue to work together, we need a long-term plan to make sure we're viable.
For sure.
And I'm saying we, not the village or the town, we.
And I've talked to Paul about that already.
Okay? Oh, that's all. And I wasn't saying we didn't, I wasn't trying to be critical. The reason I'm bringing it up is because we've got questions coming into us. I do anyway. About, okay, so we signed up a short-term contract, what about after that? Like Josh was pointing out, we don't even have the numbers for the second year. I mean, what are we basing the 27 on?
We're not.
Are we signing up for something that it's another double?
So, getting back to the proposed agreement, is there any other wording changes that you are interested in discussing this evening?
What?
Is it?
I mean, aside from the still the mutual aid piece of it, and I stand corrected, it's not 50 grand. So anybody who's watching can critique me later. But still, like,
What is it?
it comes out to approximately, our part would potentially be $10,500.
That's a 1% change or?
Yeah.
To your
You guys proposed the call volume at 39.3.
Yep.
If you do it without mutual aid, it's 38.3.
Yeah.
38.4.
It's a 1% error.
Anyway, to your comment, I think we are, but our attorney still asked for review the language.
I mean, insurance.
And insurance, we have a few open things left to do. we have to talk to our constituents at some point. And my personal opinion, these guys will have to, you know, when we get together, you know, tell them you need to discuss this, we'll have to, you know, there's three of us, so it's not just my opinion. But until we see the line item detail, I'm not gonna be in favor of anything.
I'd like to extend an invitation, as we've done to our home board tonight formally, to you to come in and see our operation as it is today. I think it's very valid points of what you used to receive versus what you're receiving now, and I respect the fact that you wanna see the numbers and the details too, but I also wanna extend an invitation that you come in and see what we're doing, so you can see the operation. You know, we've extended to the board, our board too, you can come, you know, ride along or tag along too, obviously with fire and rescue, and I'll talk to Mike and Dan just to confirm dates and times, but we want you to be able to see what our operation is currently versus, you know, again, a while ago when the whistle would go off and everybody would come to the station from their home, things have dramatically changed, and I know you know that, but I'd like you to at least be able to see what you're paying for as well, and what changes have been made besides just the financial piece.
The big thing here is 488,000. From what is it, 260? Let's call it 260. I'm trying to figure out, and the three of us here, Josh has got it down pretty good, but I'm gonna I'm trying to figure out how in November we can possibly sell that to the constituents. So then what happens? The township, by statute, has to provide EMS and fire service, correct? By statute, the township has to do that.
Correct.
So we have to. So then that puts us into the position of, or the situation where, well, let's go to the bank and borrow the money, $200,000 for a year, pay it off annually, one shot a year, to keep up with this. That's our worst scenario. I just don't know how, Bonnie, I'm glad you're here because you're seeing how these guys are trying here. She's been around just a couple days. And how are we going to, I don't mean that bad, Bonnie, I've been around a couple days too. But anyway, how we're gonna sell that to the constituents. I just don't know how we're gonna sell it to the constituents. Continue to try to take care of the town, the roads, etc. Now this is just me talking, not these two gentlemen. I could probably see 100,000, but I just can't see how we're gonna sell beyond that. I just don't know. I'm saying that from the heart. If you guys realize that, you know, the referendum didn't pass, but the last situation, we would have to borrow money. We'd have to borrow money to just to have these services, and if we did that, and again, just using a round figure, 200 grand, we're gonna have to pay it off every year. We can't just keep throwing a 5-year note out or something like that, or loan. So that's what we're looking at here. I think you probably figured that.
And what's the alternative? You don't have fire and EMS. I mean, that's kind of the position the village was in a couple years ago. You know, they tried to figure out an alternative on what they were going to do to staff because they didn't have people. And so you're arriving at something that the village had to arrive at a couple years ago, and the costs are you know, catching up to all of us. And I just want you to know, because I feel it is from the heart, you're not alone in it. Since you have done your research, you'll know that this community is experiencing something, maybe not the jump that, you know, we're talking about tonight, but something that is happening statewide and nationwide. You know, we can name the names and go through a long list of departments that have had to, transition within the last few years from small little costs for a volunteer paid on call department with 10-minute response times to full-time because they didn't have people anymore. And that, I think that if the village could tell you right now and look you in the eyes, they'd say, man, it would be great if we had people coming out of the woodwork to be able to run this for what we did even 5 years ago and provide the level of service. So, you know, I do believe that what you are saying is from the heart, and each one of you, what you've said tonight. But I know then I go back to, where does that leave us? You know, what should we do? Because, you know, at some meetings, we've even offered to hand out applications, so.
Well, which point was that?
The point where I completely understand that, I've read way more about fire and EMS in the last 3 months than quite frankly I really even care to, because you guys are the subject matter experts on this, and I appreciate your offer to ride along with you. I'm not gonna garner anything different one way or the other from that, you know, I come on a Tuesday and you get one call, and that impression is pretty, probably poor too, for what level of certain, like, it is what it is. There are tons of communities that are up against this, I 100% agree with you, and there are quite a few that are looking at regionalizing. I understand the point about Kettle Moraine and Eagle and North Prairie Station. I understand that Lauderdale, LaGrange is also feeling the squeeze, they're volunteer. Those are the things where, standing from the outside, because we're not part of the day-to-day grind of how you operate this department, that it's easier to look at and say, what are the other alternatives? Because potentially, Lauderdale, LaGrange, Village and Town of Palmyra, Kettle Moraine Fire District, if they all are sucking wind, is that the opportunity to try to do it? And it's all financial, it is 100% financially based. If you pay for people, they will come here. I understand that theory, this is like the Field of Dreams thing, right? But that cost on a two-community basis is, I'll say, getting hard to swallow. If the village was there 2 years ago, cool, that could have been a starting point as well, to say, we know that our level of service, or I shouldn't even say that, our staffing model was X and now we've moved to Y, and Y costs $300,000 a year more. That was my question on what is the level of sustainability for the village board to say, comparatively, should we outsource with the county, right? That was a conversation 2 months ago for PD coverage. It's the same theory, it's a hell of a lot more work from a fire and EMS standpoint, cause there's no mothership of EMS in the county to go to. Those are the things, to Rob's point, like, we need to start looking at. And I understand there's individual employees and everybody's affected and how that all plays out. I've seen it work.
And I'm not arguing that fact. Remember, we've talked about this numerous times too. Lives matter, response times matter, and I would argue that I've been here for 8 years and seen the different models and play out, even the PSO model, which I would say was one of the most efficient and cost-effective models that the village had for a while, and now we have something different for various reasons, including personnel and staffing and being able to staff that. That being said, our response times now that we provide to your community are exponentially better than what they were just a few years ago, and just like anything, with that has come a cost. And it's hard to put a value on a life, it's hard to put a value on a property in the town or the village, and it is expensive, just like, you know, water services and everything, and PFAS. Man, it's getting more and more expensive, so I do have, you know, empathy and sympathy for the cost and the jump, but at the same time, you know, we're talking about people's lives and response times and trying to provide the very best service. Of course, I'm going to brag and say, I think we provide incredible service to your community, and I would be, you know, you'd probably look at me kind of funny if I said someone else can do it better. I think we can provide you the best service working together, but there's just a cost to that service.
We agree,
so.
absolutely agree with what you just said about the quality of service you provide. But it does come into a cost, but to your point about response times, when we talk to our constituents about this, it won't be just the cost versus an alternative. It'll be, here's what comes along with the lower cost, response time, etc. That'll be part of any discussion, part of any decision. You asked Frank, just a minute ago after he talked, well, what alternatives or what would you like to see? One thing I haven't heard tonight, and I really would like to hear it, is because you're just into to what Stan said and others, we're just in the preliminary stages of your budget, okay? I haven't heard, and I'd like to, that, let us we understand your position, Town of Palmyra, let us take a look. Let's see if we can make some cuts here or there to make this more reasonable. Not hearing any of that.
This isn't
And
a
that's
budget
one
meeting,
thing,
sir.
what's that?
This isn't a budget meeting.
I didn't say, Tim, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I'm hearing what you're saying. This isn't a budget meeting. We're here to
I didn't
discuss
say it was
this.
a budget meeting. What I'm saying is, as a board,
They can't as a board.
As a-
The committee hasn't brought it to the board yet because the committee hasn't completed the review.
okay, let me rephrase my wish, or what I would like to hear. Once the board sees the preliminary budget, one thing I would like to hear is that the board is willing to take a look at the line item, say, hey, do we really need this? Can we look at this? Is there any way to cut this back and forth? Because we have a customer, when I worked in business, if we had a customer we looked at our costs.
We did do
I was
that.
supply
And
chain
that's-
for
and
40
that's
years,
part
we
of
had to
our-
reduce our
That's
costs
a
every
part
year.
of
All I'm saying is a comment from the board, that we will look at our costs and cut and look wherever we can, because we understand the situation.
That is
That
the
is
job
something-
of all of us.
Yep,
That is
We
our
are
and that is
fiscally
responsibility.
responsible.
And
That's
I would
great.
like to reply
That's
to
great.
this, please. That is something that we did last year, and that's why we were in this position that we're in now. Because we did have to have a referendum, because our costs on the fire and EMS did increase. And we did have to cut stuff out of their budget,
That's great.
okay? But we still need to maintain a certain budget for personnel and for everything else.
Absolutely agree with
So, to answer your question, yes, we will look at it line by line
I
and
appreciate
do
that.
that.
That's our responsibility, just like it is yours to go through your,
Glad we had the discussion, we're on the same page.
so let's get back to this. Are you
That
ready to
is,
vote on?
that discussion is part of this, because we're not going anywhere with this until the number is agreeable with all of us.
Something
Are
we
you
gotta
So it
vote
is,
on.
with
so
the
Tim,
wording?
please stop saying
Are
that
you-
the budget is not part of this. It absolutely is part of this decision on this contract.
When does it expire, the current contract?
December 31st.
All we're asking for is that they're good with the wording on the budget, that's all Tim
Yes.
was
I
asking.
think we've already,
The
we have
wording on
already,
this
we have
contract.
already said, we're okay with the language pending legal review and a couple missing things like insurance and I've got an action item for insurance. We've already said we're in agreement with it. I believe we have.
Okay, so then what's the next thing, Tim?
Have we
The
not?
Are
next
you
thing
ready
on
to
the
vote,
agenda.
are you guys ready to vote on this?
No,
No,
absolutely not.
Well,
no.
well, as far as.
I'm surprised you even asked that question.
The lang-
after
you
what we
mean, are
just
you-
said.
Other word, but
Excuse me, Ron, are you talking about the language only?
Yes,
Language only, yes.
Yep.
Vote on the language only.
I'm not.
we still need to review
We
the
still
insurance.
have
because then it
pieces
becomes a
we need to
contract.
review.
We don't know.
And we haven't had our lawyer, our attorney look at it yet.
Okay, then
Well-
the next thing on the
Well,
agenda.
as far as from this side of the table, we're happy with what has been presented this evening, so I would say for us, I would move that we approve the wording as presented this evening for.
Additional-
Subject to the one revision.
To the
It's one
revision.
revision,
Okay,
as-
I need to-
and as-
Yeah. We can't do it anymore because there's no.
Does that need to be a motion?
He made it.
I just made it.
I'll second.
Is that on your agenda?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Just asking a question.
We're just answering.
So, is there a second?
I second.
Angela's in.
Okay, sorry. All right. Since it's a legal document, I would say we should have a roll call vote, please.
Tucker. Aye. Wallace.
Aye.
Ball.
Aye.
Korsegner.
Aye.
Dykoff.
Aye.
Petruska.
Aye.
Okay. So,
That was as amended.
as amended, as with,
Yes,
amended.
it was amended.
do you have a question, sir?
I have a question now that this has been decided. My question is, you're working on a budget. Does that budget include anything for the future for a new building or remodeling an old building which can't be remodeled?
No,
It's
because
just
we
for
don't have the
operating costs for
figures yet.
2026.
Just operating costs?
Yes, what it would cost to run the department for next year.
So nothing for a new building a year from now or 2 years?
That is,
No plans
that
for
is,
that.
That is a
that is
separate-
something that we are still discussing.
That's a separate,
I mean,
that's a
we didn't
separate
even
issue.
vote on it.
Yeah.
For us to consider.
And it's a
Is
capital.
is the existing building safe?
Yes, it's just the fact that it does,
Does it still have shores underneath it, all, the
all
whole
that
thing,
fun
all of that?
stuff, all that fun stuff that was done 10, 15,
18
20
years ago.
whatever it was.
When I was consulted.
Yeah, that was where the engineers or architects didn't take into consideration dead weight of water in the tank. And before,
Well,
It's not on our
the span
I
creek
know.
that's out there, let me just share something with you.
This
That
might
span
not be
creek
on the
has
agenda
steel wires in it.
Motion
Okay.
adjourned.
We can talk after.
This is off the record, okay, that's not official.
I understand. Okay, we've got a motion from the town board to adjourn the meeting. Is there any further discussion? Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying
I'm
aye.
sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
answer the motion yet first.
Opposed?
Second to go.
Motion carried.
Tom was the second?
Tom was the second. All in favor?
Aye.
See what I'm waiting.
You tried, Jim.
We're, the next scheduled meeting is the 18th. Oh, you got it.
I was asking about your tripod because I used to have
Second. Yes, I like to see who was here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I have a recording of everyone. Would you like your picture on?